Hi, welcome back to Between Screenings. Myself and Tom are going to take you through some of the upcoming releases. We're also going to talk about films you should watch on an airplane. Uh, and we're then going to have a look at maybe some of the early Oscar frontrunners, Oscar and BAFTA frontrunners, which the race is starting to hot up with a slew of releases coming in the next few weeks that are tipped to do very well at the awards. Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm very well, Neil. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm rested. I think since I last saw you, I've been to 2 foreign countries.
Wow, that's impressive. I knew about one of them when you went off to Poland, but then you've just been telling me you've been in Morocco.
Yes, Morocco just for some winter sun, but then I was in Poland I was in a lovely town called Poznan for the British Film Festival in Poznan. So I was talking about filmmaking outside of London there, which was lovely. And then watched a few sort of classic British films in the cinema there, and sort of just explored a bit of the lovely town that is Poznan.
I'm just shocked at the novel idea of doing something film related outside of London. Can you imagine such an
Yeah,
idea? How
it,
novel a concept.
it's the second year they've done this film festival. So the British Film Festival in Poznan. It's the second year they've done it, and they are packing out the screenings.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely packing them out. So it's the first year they've done an industry event. So it's the first time they've done sort of industry talks. But they had, I think, Lynn Ramsey was their retrospective last year. And then this year they did a Sally Potter retrospective. So Sally Potter was there doing a talk. So I saw that. And then I went and watched Orlando in a cinema with probably 400 people. And then we had a little
Wow.
industry. They did a little screening as well of The Party, which was like a little industry screening of The Party. So that was cool. Yeah. And they showed a load of our other films as well. So it was really nice.
Lovely. Well, what a nice little thing to get away for.
Yeah. And it shows that film does exist outside of London, Tom.
I've often heard it said, whispered in the corridors of Manchester and Sheffield and Leeds that cinema exists outside of London. But
Yes. So, my talk was about that precise thing when I was in Poznan, and I probably was slightly more negative than positive about the state of the UK film industry outside of London, because I think the money very much is still centered in London. Screen International has actually just released their top 50 British independent film companies. I think I got it a couple of days before I got the magazine and was reading through that, and I thought, oh, I'll highlight any that don't have head offices in London. And guess how many I highlighted?
no.
No, no, I won.
Oh, well,
But
that's a
I think they
100%
also
increase on what
had
I
an
expected.
office in London as well.
Of course. Well. Should we talk about some movies we've seen?
Yes. So, what have you seen since I last saw you?
So, after being hideously embarrassed by last time we spoke because I'd seen exactly nothing, I have seen 4 movies that I want to talk about this week to some extent. Wicked for Good, which of course is dominating cinemas around the UK and the rest of the world right now. I've also now seen Wake Up Dead Man, the third installment in the Knives Out films, which I really enjoyed with some provisos. No Other Choice, which is the new Park Chan-wook movie. Obviously, he did Old Boy, so I was excited for that. And I mean, it is going to be, an Oscar contender later in the year, so I do feel it's fair to talk about it. I've also seen Zootropolis 2, which is also known as Zootopia 2.
Yes, interesting that depending on what country you live in depends on what name you get for that film.
It's because there is a zoo somewhere if that has the copyright to Zootopia in the UK and forcing us to become Zootropolis. And I was riding up the escalator at the Picture House Central in London, and I was talking to a Disney PR about it, and I accidentally called it Zootopia, and he very quickly reminded me that it's Zootropolis 2 here in the UK, not Zootopia 2. So yeah, Disney clearly keen to beat that drum that it is Zootropolis here, not Zootopia.
So, the whole rest of the world is Zootopia then?
Yeah, yeah. And that's actually how when I was looking at some photos the other day for something at work, I could tell that they hadn't done a UK premiere yet because it was all Zootopia on the background rather on the stand and repeats than rather than Zootropolis.
Well, I mean, they got around it quite well with them. So it's not. It's a film. I really enjoyed the first one. I watched it. My kids really enjoyed it. It's a sort of classic Disney film, but not a classic musical Disney film.
Mm.
So kind of in the lines of the more modern stuff they've done, like your Wreck-It Ralphs and things like that, where it is just a really fun animated story. It has got. I mean, the first one's obviously got that Shakira banger in it. How does the second one fare against the first?
Really good. I would say they are very like a lot of Disney sequels, it's like, "Play the hits, yeah, Sammy," like, we're doing the same thing. Obviously, the first one dealt with the sort of dynamic between predator and prey animals and how they interacted with each other. This one introduces asks the question, "Why are there no reptiles in, Zootropolis?" And it's sort of a mystery involving some lynxes and a snake. And obviously, Judy and Nick have to get to the bottom of it. And you know what? Oh, and don't worry, in case you are fearful, there is a Shakira banger in it that plays not once but twice.
Oh, good.
Once at the beginning and again over the credits. I really enjoyed it. Like it's very, it's like if I was comparing it to Moana 2 while I was discussing it with a friend, and we were saying that Moana 2, because it quite literally was a Disney Plus series glued together when they realized, oh, we could make some money by sticking this in cinemas. And while I don't hate Moana 2, I certainly felt that it was made by, it didn't feel like a labor of love for anyone involved. It felt far more like something that was made because the corporate beings said, this will make money, go make it. And I'm not saying that's not part of the incentive to make Zootopia 2, but you get the Zootropolis 2, but you get the feeling that the people who made it cared. So while the story is essentially the same thing, like, oh, don't be prejudiced against reptiles in this particular case, I would say that I felt moved while I was watching it in the same way I was during the first one. I think the performances are brilliant, and the visual gags are so funny. Like Zootopia or Zootropolis, whatever the city is called, I can't remember. Sorry, Disney PR. It's such an interesting world to be in. It's so colorful, it's so dynamic, it's so unique. We see a lot more of it. We see new areas of the city. I just had a really good time with that. I would say of everything I watched this week, and I've watched, as I said, I've watched 4 movies. This is the thing I could see myself going back to, like just because I enjoyed it that much. It's not perfect, as I say. It is retreading some well-worn ground for Disney movies, but I had fun with it, and more importantly, I went to it was a family event screening on Sunday, and we were sat with a load of kids, and they were rapt by it. Like genuinely, I was sat next to a little kid. She was leaning forward the whole time, except to gasp and turn to her mum. When exciting things happened on screen, or to laugh, which is exactly what you want from this type of thing. So yeah, I thought it was really good. Don't be put off by the fact it's just a sequel, because it's just as good as the first, to be completely honest.
Good. That's good to hear. I think it's probably one of the possible billion-dollar movies of the year, isn't it? I think that's the projection.
Yeah,
Is it something that could hit the billion?
it's tracking towards it apparently. You can tell Disney are very confident in it because they turned the Picture House Central into the city for the press to turn up to and take photos in. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it did anything less than 500.
Oh,
That's my bold
that would be
prediction.
mad.
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned Moana 2 while you were talking about it, because the Moana live action trailer dropped this week, and that does not look like something I want to go and see.
I
I'm
mean,
happy to be proven wrong, but Moana's not even 10 years old, and it looked like they'd just shoved a human into random scenes in the animated Moana.
look, I watched that trailer unintentionally because a friend had shared it on Instagram with the caption, "What the hell is this?" And I was watching it, and for about 20 seconds, I thought it was a Disney Plus advert for Christmas, just advertising things you might want to watch with the family this Christmas, like Moana. And it was only when I stopped to look at it, I was like, oh no, this is the live action Moana. It just looks. I mean, I know the Disney, remakes get a lot of stick, and rightfully so, because they are lazy. But like, This has to be the most egregious of them all in terms of, just like we just cannot be asked with this. Just like pay your billions to go and watch it. Sorry, pay your money to go watch it. Shut up, eat your slop. That's how I feel watching this trailer. Um, I will say I do find it really funny though that Dwayne Johnson is pretty absent from the trailer, and I wonder how much of that was him thinking he'd be on the campaign trail right now for Smashing Machine and the Oscars that he's just not going to get, sadly.
Possibly, yeah. Obviously, it's just a teaser for us, but I'm hoping when it stops being a teaser, it might look a bit less CGI. But I'm not a big fan of the live action remakes anyway. I think the one I disliked the most was The Lion King, because The
Mm,
Lion King's great. It's fun, it's colorful, it's a film I massively remember from my sort of late sort of tweens, early teens, and yeah, just making it all brown and
yeah,
having live CGI realistic lions that are singing and talking just kind of seemed weird and not not worth it. Obviously, it was worth it for Disney because it did a huge amount of money.
I think it was a
Um,
billion, wasn't it? It was part of their like
yes,
that year where they had like the top 8 movies, all of which did like a billion or something stupid like that.
yeah. So it's frustrating that people keep turning up for them because I just re-released The Lion King. You can't beat The Lion King, the original. It's just amazing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Vote with your feet. My least favorite was Aladdin, which tried to say, who's a good replacement for Robin Williams? Will Smith. No, he's not.
Yes, the genie casting was maybe not the best.
No.
Although I remember reading that Robin Williams, when he played the genie in the original Aladdin, didn't want it to be known that it was him originally.
Yeah.
Like he didn't want it
So,
to be marketed that it was him.
so there are about 18 million interesting things about Robin Williams and the Genie, including that every take he did was different, and Disney were apparently rubbing their hands together with Glee because they were like, well, we've got all the recordings, we can use them in TV shows and video games and in the theme parks. But he'd had it stipulated in his contract that they couldn't use anything they could only use what was released from the film commercially. So they couldn't use it for anything else, which is why Dan Castellaneta, who's better known as Homer Simpson, plays the genie in the TV show and in the Prince
Return of
of
Jafar.
Thieves. Sorry, Return of Jafar. But then Robin Williams was like, that's my character, and returns for the third one, which I think is Prince of Thieves.
Cool.
So yeah, Robin Williams and the genie, complicated relationship.
Slight digression there. So yes, so Zootropolis 2 coming out this weekend. So Family Fair is going to perform strongly. Also limited release this week is the new Knives Out, Wake Up to Dead Man. And you say
Yes.
you've also seen this. I've not seen this yet. I need to check with my local cinema because they're advertising it as a 15, but the BBFC have it down as a 12A, and I want to go with my kids. So is it worth
Uh,
going?
Yes, with some provisos. So, like, I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but basically, Benoit Blanc is back. Priest has died. Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, I think the character's called. There's a shockingly he dies from. I don't think that's a spoiler in a murder mystery, and
No.
Benoit has to solve it. I really enjoy. This is a film I've been really excited about. So I think that does that does temper a little bit like how I feel about it, because I do think it's probably the weakest of the Knives Out films by some distance. And I think the first two are both 5-star bangers, like no notes. I would say this is probably a 4-star, had a great time at the movies type deal. I think I'll talk about my issues before I get to what I like, but I think my biggest problem with it was, first of all, the setting, which is very similar to the first one in terms of, we are in like a gothic, like the first one's obviously in a manor house, this one's in a church, and it looks, as a visual style, sort of, they look very similar. Like they both seem to be set at autumn, and like, while I was watching it, I was like, I'm just reminded a lot of the first one, and within that as well, the characters feel very flat and thin compared to the first and second one. Like say what you want about, I mean, stunt casting, but I felt like, David Bautista in that was a fantastic caricature, of these right-wing grifters, that everyone in there felt like a real person for as much as they were big daft caricatures. Here, they're more natural, but that feels odd compared to like Benoit, who's this massive, like a cartoony character who comes wandering in like halfway through, and it creates this disconnect, and I didn't really enjoy any of them as much as I enjoyed any of the other characters, like who we've met in these other ones. Like I'd say Josh O'Connor, perfect. Like he's easily the best thing in it outside of Daniel Craig. Like it's really he's amazing, and Josh Brolin is fantastic as the victim. Everyone else, you're just a bit like, oh, I wish we'd seen more of you. Like Mila Kunis is in it, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott is absolutely wasted. Like
Oh.
the entire time, you're like, can't wait to see what they do with Andrew Scott. Not a lot. I'm trying to be really careful here because I obviously don't want to spoil who the killer is or anything like that. So yeah, that said, it's still better than 99% of the movies you've seen this year. Like Rian Johnson, he knows how to put together a compelling murder mystery. Every time you think you've cracked it, you're wrong. You're guessing until the very end. I would say Daniel Craig has cracked this character now. I think, the first one, obviously finding his feet with it. The second one, okay, who is he? This one, Benoit Blanc is a fully formed, sort of like slightly larger than life character, but an entertaining presence. I really enjoyed it. It's just in comparison to the other two, eh. Now, I should say as well, I saw it at home, which I do think changes how, like, how you feel about a movie. But to the movie's credit, I didn't look at my phone once, like, which I do think, like says something. Because even though I try to be good when I'm watching a film at home, it's so easy just to pick up your phone and, oh, I've got a message. I'll just quickly check that. This is a bit of a lull in the film. I didn't do that once during Wake Up Dead Man. It flew. So all in all, I'd say it's really good. It's well worth your time. It's just you probably shouldn't watch either Knives Out or The Glass Onion before you go and see this because you're just going to come out thinking, "I wish I was watching one of those two." But yeah,
Yeah, well, I will look forward to hopefully going with my whole family to see it at the weekend. So, what else have you? So, you've also seen the new Park Chan-wook?
yeah, I thought this was really good. Like Park Chan-wook rarely misses, in my opinion. It's got Lee Byung-hun of Squid Game fame, the guy who
Yeah.
played the frontman in that. And it's a really, really funny dark comedy. It's basically about a guy who loses his job at a paper factory and refuses to get a job doing anything else. So he decides the best way to ensure that he gets the next job that opens up in the paper world is to murder all the unemployed paper salesmen in his immediate area. It's really funny, as I say, very, very dark, like at times, shockingly dark at times. But another film which you put on, and even though it's over 2 hours, you blink and it's over. I'd say it's not quite on the same level as something like Old Boy, which I think is obviously the high watermark, but hey, not everything can be Old Boy, can it? And I do think that Lee, I think that would be his surname, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think Lee's fantastic in it. Like, it's nice to see him playing someone other than an unrepentant murderer, even though he is a slightly unrepentant murderer in this. He has a nice family dynamic going on, and I think dark comedies are so difficult because sometimes you can lose sympathy with the characters in it, and he's so charming that you never lose sight of why he's doing some of the terrible things that he's doing. So I had a great time with it. Yeah, I don't know if it'll get any Oscars buzz. Can't imagine it will because it just feels.
Variety have got it listed as like a number six contender, so they're not putting it top 5, but they're putting it top 10 as a contender to make the shortlist at least.
I saw it. I was reading reviews after I finished it, and like people were saying this is the best Park Chan-wook film since Old Boy, and I mean that's a hot take, I think, but it's very, very good. Like, and wildly entertaining, as I say. So If you can see it, Neil, I'd recommend it. They'll be sending you a link, I'm sure.
It'll pop up on my BAFTA view or something at some point, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
And you had one more film you'd also seen.
Which we've both seen, but you weren't allowed to talk
Oh
about it
yes,
last time.
the film that is Wicked for Good. Yes, I can talk about Wicked for Good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. There was one song where everyone did applaud in the cinema, as I pointed out last time, which was "No Good Deed."
Yeah,
Which, on a listen afterwards, when you listen to it on the soundtrack, they have slowed it down slightly for compared to the Broadway version. So compared to the original musical version, they have slowed that song down slightly in certain bits. And I've read stuff since with the director, and he's basically said, "Yeah, we slowed it down slightly just for more dramatic impact." And I think
right.
when you listen to it on the soundtrack, it just doesn't sound as good as the Idina Menzel version. But then when you're watching it in the film, it is really that's probably the highlight of the film for me.
I
So
would
yeah, no,
agree.
I enjoyed it. I've seen lots of complaints about the color, it being too dark or it being too bright, or people just can't make their minds up what they don't like about it. Because I think it's one of those things. Everyone's writing about it this week because everyone's reading about it this week. So you've got to have a hot take. And
Yeah, I mean,
it was nice, but it was great, but not quite as great as the first one. Isn't that hot a take?
yeah, I mean, I think I saw it after the day after we finished recording last week, we've spoken about it since. Feel a lot like you. I think it's great. I think the first one's probably a 5-star movie. I think this one's probably a 4-star movie. The I think that Wicked for Good has the same problem. Is basically plagued by the problems of the second act of the show.
Yeah.
That the songs aren't as good. There is no Defying Gravity, and For Good might be the big banger of the second act. But if you were asked to name a song from Wicked, you're going to choose Defying Gravity. So I think the story's weaker as well. I think it has to dance around the fact that it is playing out with the events of The Wizard of Oz happening at the same time. Um, didn't like those two new songs. I think they were.
I think they were. Yeah, I've listened to them on the soundtrack since because my kids and wife like playing the soundtrack. And yeah, they're not standout songs. I think No Way Home is probably stronger than Girl in the Bubble, but Girl
Yep.
in the Bubble is just I'd like to have. It didn't build enough. I don't think it had enough about it to really land. I know it was trying to be a really emotional song, sort of with sort of talking through Galinda's choices and how hard it is, but it didn't really resonate with me.
No, I would agree. I would have picked Girl in the Bubble as the weak as if I was going to cut something from the movie. I do think it's a movie that probably does need a little bit of an edit. Like I think that may be the thing that I choose to trim. It seems like you could remove it and keep everything pretty much the same. To be completely honest, do you think though it's worth saying that Cynthia and Ariana are absolutely fantastic in it?
Yeah,
It speaks volumes that pretty much nothing happens really. They try to catch, Elphaba. They don't until eventually they do, and that's Sorry, well, Dorothy throws a bucket of water over her, and that's sort of it. Like not much else happens, but I think the fact that those performances are so good and you're so invested in them and the world that I was entertained throughout.
yeah.
And I know people who say they think it drags. I don't necessarily agree. I've seen it twice. It did drag more the second time, but it didn't feel like I was sat down for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Um, yeah, I do think there is a bit of hot take itis with this one of like, oh, it's rubbish. It's not rubbish. Like
I think
it's
Yeah, I think as well with the first one, you've got that thing of sitting down in the cinema, and it is just so visually like takes you to that world of Oz. It really immerses you in Oz, and you've experienced that. So there's a familiarity with this where you go in and rather than just going, whoa, you sit down and you're like, oh, good, I'm back here again. And oh, good, I'm back here again isn't as exciting as experiencing something for the first time. So I think there is a bit of because you don't get that wow factor because you can't because you've sort of already seen it. I think that does affect it slightly. Like I say, I think it could have been half an hour shorter. 20 minutes, half an hour could have come off, I think, and it wouldn't have suffered. And I think, like you say, it kind of suffers following through with it. having to follow the beats of Wizard of Oz with the Wicked Witch of the East, and then wanting to get the shoes. My kids were a bit confused that the shoes were silver. To be honest,
Yeah,
they were not.
you,
They were not big fan. They were like, those shoes are meant to be red.
yeah. I enjoyed when asked about the silver shoes. I was like, well, that's because Wicked is a prequel to the book, not the movie. And in the book, they're silver, and in the movie, they're red. Um, but yeah, no, I do agree. I
They
do
do have a
think
nod to
it's
it though, because I think they do turn red when she flies.
they do. They turn red when she flies up in the air. Yeah, when her feet are on fire, as she's. God, I
Yeah.
hate Bot. Can I just say how? Did I say this last time? I absolutely loathe Bot. And one big issue I did have with the movie: why did they make the Cowardly Lion such a dick as well? Like,
Yes, I didn't get that either. Like, you saved me, but you also took me away from my own cage, so I couldn't be.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't
it
get
was.
that.
I didn't like that bit. That isn't like that isn't in the stage show. That feels like something that maybe it's in the book. I don't know. I've not read the book, but it's not in the stage show. And I was like, I don't like this because you've made me dislike two members of Dorothy's mates. And we do also need to talk about that final shot of Fiero as a scarecrow is I mean, it's not CGI, I've later found out, but it looks so bad. Like, it just doesn't look good. But and I know how do you make a living scarecrow look good, but when I first saw it,
I
genuinely did
think
a little guffaw.
I think you've got to go. I would have gone very Wizard of Oz with it,
Yeah,
and almost recreated the way he was created in the Wizard of Oz, because there was nothing wrong with that. It was great.
yeah, him having a burlap sack for a face, just it was funny. It really
Yeah.
was. Um, moving on to, I mean, I'm going to use Wicked for Good as a way to sidestep into awards buzz. I do think it's going to be absolutely heartbreaking when Ariana wins Best Supporting at the Oscars and Cynthia wins Sweet F All because she's not winning anything. Sorry.
It's not as good as she is in it. It's not a Best Leading Actress role.
No, I've not seen Hamnet yet, but Jessie Buckley again, like she is far and away the front runner this year for winning it, and apparently she is like untouchable in that movie. Where and you can almost hear Ariana getting on stage and saying, "This is for both of us." Do you know
Yes.
when she gets it? Because poor Cynthia, she's probably not going to get it.
No, I think there's several performances, female performances, that are looking like. I think I've not seen it yet, but if I had legs, I'd kick you. I think Ros Byrne is meant to be absolutely amazing in that as well. But like you say, everyone's just talking about Hamnet. I think it's Jessie Buckley's to lose, and they are going to be hitting the campaign trail very, very hard with that film. So I think Ariana could get it. I don't know who she's up against in the Best Supporting race. But
So,
I think a lot
Elf,
of people kind of feel like she should have maybe got it for last time.
I mean, who won it last year? I don't even remember.
Let's have a
I
look.
mean, the contenders are apparently Haley Steinfeld for Sinners, which I'd love, but isn't going to happen because there's zero chance the Academy will
No,
recognize a horror movie.
no way.
Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another, I could see happening, to be completely honest,
Yeah,
because that's got a lot. Well, we'll see if it can keep the momentum, but it certainly was the front runner for Best Picture for a while. Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value. Uh, Regina Hall from One Battle After Another as well.
right. Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think I think they'll want to give. I think the Academy, being the politicians they are at heart, will want to give Wicked for Good something
Yes.
outside of the technicals. And sadly, I do include best. Well, it's not going to win best song, is it? Because Golden from K-pop Demon Hunter is
Yeah, I don't think
just
either of the two. I don't think either of the two original songs are going to get them in a Best Original Song. No.
no. So I could see Ariana getting that as a well done, everyone, because I don't see Chu winning. In fact, would Chu be even in the discussion for director? Do we think?
I think he might get. I think it's a difficult one, because I think Paul Thomas Anderson's probably the front runner for that with One Battle After Another. I think Ryan Coogler might get a shout for Sinners as well. I think there's an outside chance that Weapons could get something in one of the big categories. Uh, Yeah, I think he might get it. I think we've talked before. I think there is a possibility he'll get a nomination at least. I don't know if he'll win it. I think if he does, it'll be a very much this is for both of them award.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Peter Jackson that year, I don't know if Lord of the Rings: Return of the King was the best directed film that year, but he was always going to win it that year, having not won it for the other two.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair way of looking at it. So, I mean, potentially, yes, like, maybe they'll consider it a double act. I just that does it's not really in the spirit of the competition, is it? But I wasn't complaining when Lord of the Rings won, so I'm just being a hypocrite.
According, a Variety have got him well outside in
Uh,
the race though. So they've got Paul Thomas Anderson, Chloe Zhao, Ryan Coogler, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, and Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein as their top five at the moment. So we'll see.
I'd like Gilmera to win, but well, be nominated at least. We'll
So
see anyway. Yeah.
something else I've seen since I last saw you was Ballad of a Small Player,
Oh, what did you
which
think of
you've
it?
also seen. So I watched that on my iPad while flying back from Poznan. So I watched that on a plane. It seemed like an okay film to watch on a plane. It's very colourful, which was nice. I thought visually it was stunning. I felt like it was fine. It it didn't. I think the difference of what I think if I'd watched that in the cinema with a full auditorium, it would have been a very different experience than watching it on my headphones on an airplane. I was entertained. I felt like it got a bit lost in the second act. Um,
Yes.
I I sort of enjoyed the setup, but then after he went and woke up in the, I don't want to spoil too much, but he wakes up after he woke up in the middle of the swamp or the lake or whatever it was. From that point onwards, it kind of felt like it dipped too much into the silliness, but then it
I
tried to bring a really moral take on it at the end. So I think I enjoyed it, and I think Colin Farrell will definitely get a nomination for it. I think
yeah.
he is fantastic in it. He's so committed in it
Interesting.
from start to finish. I was captivated by his performance in it. And as well, just the
So
splitting between the characters he essentially plays in the film, I thought was great.
I mean, when the accent first fell, I
Yes.
didn't notice. Like, I was just because obviously it's Colin Farrell and you're so used to the Irish accent. And I did think at times I was because obviously he's doing this big affected posh British accent, and it's pretty good. But there are moments, when obviously
Yeah.
his Irish brogue cracks through. So when he finally reveals he's not English, I was like, oh, okay, okay, I see what we're doing here. I'm just looking now to see who they haven't got
Timothy
it.
Chalamet is the man to beat,
And
apparently.
oh yeah, well, erstwhile third host, she saw Marty Supreme and was like, he is incredible in it, like genuinely, just like the best thing in it, like by some distance. And she said she feels really sorry for the other Safdie brother who made Smashing Machine because this has
Yes.
all that palpable energy of Uncut Gems, whereas the Smashing Machine certainly didn't. So, yeah, I mean, so they've not got. Again, don't know why we keep choosing. Don't know why I've chosen Variety, but Variety don't have Farrell. They've got Clooney for Jay Kelly, which I do rate. Um, and Jay Kelly is fantastic as well. Jesse Plemons for Begonia, which I've not seen, so I can't comment. Dwayne Johnson for Smashing Machine, which no. Oscar Isaacs, sorry, for Frankenstein, which I'd love, but isn't going to happen.
Not going to
Sorry.
happen.
And then their top five are Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, which I think, yeah, because of the double act.
Yep.
Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, and Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. So Leo's not getting it as good as he is in.
As good as Leo is, I don't think it's a defining enough performance for it. I think after the last couple of films he's done, I think with A Complete Unknown and now Marty Supreme, I think it's Chalamet's turn.
Yes. I would love it to be Michael B. Jordan. I think of those actors, he would be my pick.
Have
Because I
you
absolutely love him.
Have you seen the Zoom call?
No.
Oh, okay. You need to look this up. So
Okay.
after you say there's you'll watch all of it as well, which is mad because it's 17, 18 minutes long. So as
Wow.
part of
Okay.
the marketing campaign for not Smashing Machine, as part of the marketing campaign for Marty Supreme, they've done a Zoom call with Timothy Chalamet calling all the marketing execs and social media execs and stuff from the film company and telling them his ideas for marketing Marty Supreme and all the
Okay.
stuff he wants to do. And he often goes, he'll many times in it go schwap, as if like because he's just dropped an amazing idea,
Yeah.
so he'll just go schwap,
Brilliant.
and then
Okay.
just stare at the camera for ages, and everyone's just frozen, thinking, what do I do? Having watched it, it would have been even better if all of the people on the call were actually the marketing people and they didn't know this was a skit. But it isn't a prank. They all were in on it, which is slightly disappointing because it would have been
Oh,
very
that's a
funny
shame.
to see how they would have responded. But yeah, look up Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme Zoom call because it is worth a watch. And just for that, I mean, I was excited for the film anyway, but after seeing that, I was even more excited for the film because I
You're
thought it
like,
was just,
I'm in.
yeah, I was just in. So yeah, I think, yeah, this is where award season sort of properly kicks off, isn't it? We've got a few big releases this weekend. I think Christie's out in this country this weekend. It'll be interesting to see how it does at the UK box office. Obviously, it tanked in America, but I
Yep.
think Sydney Sweeney's name is still being thrown around for Best Actress. So I'll go and see it. I'll see how she is. I don't mind a boxing biopic. So, but according to, again, if we're going to go with Variety again, Sydney Sweeney's not even in the running for the Best Actress. So that's interesting. Although Kate Hudson is for Song Sung Blue, which is they were on. I don't know if you saw her and Hugh Jackman on Graham Norton this weekend, but they were talking about Song Sung Blue, and it's about kind of like a Neil Diamond almost tribute act.
Yeah. I got invited to a screening of this last Friday and I couldn't go.
Because
I was
you
very
still have beef
with Hugh Jackman.
with Hugh Jackman. That's why.
Yeah, because he stole my Facebook meme.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, Hugh, I've never forgiven you.
You need a personal apology, don't you, Tom?
Yeah,
Groveling.
I do. Hugh, I know you're listening, so just be in touch. Just say you're sorry. Meme theft isn't a joke.
The thing that puts me off about that film is I hate Sweet Caroline. So
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
I could.
I don't hate it. I find it bizarre that it's now a sports chant. I just don't enjoy it as a sports chant.
You and my sister would get on, Neil, because she banned it from her wedding playlist the other day.
Good. It's been ruined, in my opinion.
Who do you think after? I mean, we spoke about director. Wicked for good chances for Best Picture.
0, I would think. I think it will get nominated because I think because the short list for films is so long now. What is it?
Yep, 10.
10? 9?
Yeah, it's 10. They don't have to use all 10, which annoys me when they don't
Yeah.
because you could easily just pick something.
I think because it's that long, I think it lets something like Wicked get on the list. But the way the voting's been going the last few years, it goes to something that the general public won't have seen. Like, when was the last time a popular movie actually won the Oscars?
Parasite?
Nah, that wasn't a popular movie. That wasn't a
Joker?
foreign language film in America.
Did Joker win Best Picture, or did he just win Best Actor for it?
No, I don't think it won Best Picture. I mean,
'Cause it was
Oppenheimer,
crap.
I suppose you could argue, was popular. That actually did well at the box office. Everything Everywhere All at Once actually was more of a crowd pleaser of a film, I would say. So it doesn't tend to be blockbusters anymore winning.
No, if I showed this list to my dad, he'd say, "What? I've never heard of any of them. Must be shite."
Yes. I think my dad would be a similar take. I think there's an outside chance that F1 could get a nomination though.
So realistically, Avatar: Fire and Ash is going to get a nomination because for some reason the Academy loves to give James Cameron nominations for the Avatar movies.
Yes.
Wicked for Good, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme,
Yep.
maybe Jay Kelly. Do we think Jay Kelly?
I've not seen Jay Kelly, so I can't comment. But Netflix will
I
be
could
putting a
see Jay
lot of
Kelly.
marketing money behind it.
Jay Kelly is a movie about Hollywood, so therefore Hollywood will love it
Oh, Hollywood loves
because
films about Hollywood.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hamnet, and I don't know on the rest to be complete on
I
the other
think
potential too.
everyone's talking about Marty Supreme again.
Yeah, yeah. I think if
And
Timothy's up for Best Actor, it has to get Best Picture.
yeah, Sentimental Value is also being talked about. I've not seen it yet, but I'm very excited for Sentimental Value. I think that's probably, yeah. And I think an outside, I think F1 could potentially make the list. I think it is an outside sort of blockbuster to put on there. I think that's kind of, yeah, you can't figure out why did they go to 10? Did they go to 10 so you could put things like Hamnet on, or did they go to 10 so you could put things like Wicked for Good and F1 on?
If memory serves, this was to beat the allegations that they do not choose commercially viable
Yeah.
movies. This was their first attempt, wasn't it, at sort of like what later became the Fan Oscar Award that was co-opted by Zack Snyder's cultists. So Zack Snyder. Why am I talking about Zack Snyder again? But yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League ended up winning that, and then they quietly dropped it because it was a terrible idea. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you
this
can't.
was
Fan votes are never a good idea generally.
but that's why they went to 10 because they were like there was a feeling that the Oscars were elitist, and then irritatingly they do not always use the 10. Sometimes they will have 9 or 8, which is like no, if you've got 10, just pick 10 movies. Yeah, I listen, I would love Sinners to do really, really well. I do not. I just don't think it will. I think for all the reasons we've discussed about like genre bias, it's come out too early. Like it not being seen as Ryan Coogler or Michael B. Jordan's Time, despite it being easily, I think, my second favorite of the year. I just do not think it's going to get much beyond nominations. I think they'll be very much like a oh, it's been nominated and it walks away with nothing, and you'll see many a think piece on that and why it didn't win anything.
Yeah. But again, I think it will. I think it will get nominated. I think he might get nominated. Ryan Coogler may well get nominated for best director for it. I think he's going to struggle though again because it's so long since it came out. I think that's where the 10 strong list for best picture will help them. So I think it will get
Yeah.
a best picture nomination, but I think it could easily just get a best picture nomination and be locked out of the other categories. So, right, I think we've probably been talking for long enough. We didn't go into too much detail on what to watch on a plane. Maybe we can do that next time, Tom, after you're back from your journey to Japan.
Yeah. I will let you know what I watch, as we were just saying. The list doesn't look promising right now, but maybe I'll come back and be like, forget all these predictions. The Minecraft movie is the best thing I've seen, and not because I'm delirious after 14 hours on a flight.
Well, we've got that to look forward to next time. Right. Brilliant. Follow us where you follow us on socially stuff. Download us where you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time between screenings.